Hi there, my name's Ben and I like to read. Today we're going to be reviewing another Philip K. Dick book, perhaps his most famous one yet, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? This book has been the basis for Ridley Scott's 1982 classic science fiction movie, Blade Runner, and its sequel directed by Denis Villeneuve, Blade Runner 2049. This isn't going to be a comparison video between the book and the movies, although I will sort of just scratch the surface of that. If you'd like to see a movie review, just let me know in the comments. I'm sure we can try to make something happen. We'll pivot some content that way. That said, though, let's hop right into the book itself. I won't go into a short synopsis of Philip K. Dick just because this is the third book that I am reviewing by him. I've also reviewed The Man on the High Castle and Ubik, so if you'd like to know more about the author, you can feel free to check out those videos where I do just to sort of get a general idea of this type of stuff that he writes about. This is classic Philip K. Dick, this book. So, to give you context about the plot, it's 2019. The Soviet Union and the United States have essentially inherited a world that is decaying, it's full of pollution, ecological disasters abound, most animals have gone extinct, so now we're forced to clone them or grow synthetic animals as well. These are all very, very valuable, and to have a real animal is considered is the ultimate status symbol. People have these mood machines that pumps out drugs to make them feel a specific type of way. It's very, very dystopic. There's also this religion called Mercerism, which prioritizes empathy and empathic connections, which is why so many people buy synthetic animals in order to form an empathic connection with these, with this being, right, rather than with themselves. The main crux of it, though, is that because the Earth is so, is gradually getting rendered more and more inhospitable, the saving grace is that we now have off-world colonies on Mars and other planets. And if you pass the genetic markers, the genetic tests, because again, with all this whole ecological damage, there has been a lot of corruption of the human genome. So if you're healthy enough to go and populate an off-world colony, then you will get your very own robot servant, which looks, talks, and thinks, I guess you could say, almost exactly like a human, and they're called replicants. Now, what is a replicant? Replicant is essentially, like I said, it's a robot that looks, moves, sounds exactly like a human. They're like on the surface, they're practically indistinguishable. But they're used for the jobs that are either too dangerous for ordinary human beings or they're too demeaning for ordinary human beings. So what they are, they're soldiers on off-world colonies. They're part of strike teams. They're assassins. They're sex slaves for soldiers. They are, they do hazardous cleanup. They're household servants. They pick up trash. And they are subjected, of course, to a whole variety of jobs that no ordinary human would even consider in this day and age to do. Now, the main difference between a replicant and a human, because they look so similar, is the fact that a replicant has absolutely zero empathy. You might think, okay, well, how can you determine if this person has absolutely zero empathy? Like, wouldn't they have, they have zero empathy towards animals, towards other humans, and so on and so forth. How do you define that? How do you determine that? Well, in this universe, there is a test which is called conf, in which you measure papillary dilations, so dilations of your pupil, and when you're asked specific questions, concerning, animal torture or, spousal friction, whatever you have, right? And this is what is used to identify replicants, because replicants are illegal on Earth. And when you kill them, it's not murder, it's retirement. So, to prevent replicants as well from just, overtaking an uprising, what's happened is that they've been built in with a 4-year lifespan, right? And they've also been, rendered illegal to own on Earth. So, what happens is, every now and again, some of them try to escape, and they try to blend in with everybody else on Earth. To that end, police departments around the world have, they hire these bounty hunters. In the movie, they're called Blade Runner units, in which they go and they track down and retire these replicants. They put the void conf to them. If they determine that they're a replicant, it's shoot on sight. They collect their bounty. They go home. Everyone's happy. So, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep follows Rick Deckard, who is a human. He's a human bounty hunter in Los Angeles, and he has this wife, Iran, who is, a complete basket case. She's constantly hooked up to her mood machine, always, tries to connect with Mercer and Mercerism, and is just generally a shrew, terrible to be around. So Deckard throws himself into his work. He gets a job. He has to eliminate these 4 replicants over the course of a single day, and the book follows him going around and attempting to eliminate them all. Now, along the way, there are questions that are asked, right? And I mean, there's a wonderful sequence in the book where this is the second replicant he has to retire. She's posing as an opera singer, and he teams up with another Blade Runner, another bounty hunter by the name of Phil Gretsch, who is this extremely psychopathic, essentially lacks zero empathy towards anything but humans. So they try to put the void conf to him because Gretsch himself questions his lack of empathy, and he said, "Oh my God, am I actually a replicant?" And it's determined that yes, he is human, but only just. But anyway, that's beside the point. They both go to retire this opera singer, and in essence, she starts to question Deckard about, well, I mean, you say that humans are all about empathy. How can you not have empathy for us? He says, "Oh, it's different than you guys are machine. We have no empathy we don't have empathy for things that aren't humans." Or he words it differently. I'm paraphrasing a lot. And then she essentially attacks him and says, like, "Oh, well then, how do you know you're not a replicant? You must be a replicant as well." And that's sort of the catalyst for him and Gretsch to be like, "Oh, like, are we actually human? Are we replicants?" So it's interesting to how Dick writes it in that, these beings that on the surface have no empathy, they have empathy for each other. They care about their lives. They want to, they want to live. And they want to be free. And he does a very, very good job of weaving in, what does it mean to be a human? That's the central question of the novel, and essentially going back to the title, "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" Humans are so focused on this fake empathy, this fake connection, and it's kind of similar to today's day and age. If you think about it, we have these feelings where, I hate all other people, but let me love my pet. Or, I hate all other people, but let me support this humanitarian cause. It is almost a measure of fake empathy that Dick almost predicted. And the novel raises a really good question, because these replicants, they have empathy towards each other. They feel for each other. There's a scene where, again, the main couple that Rick Deckard is hunting, Mr. and Mrs. Batty, they are in love with each other. They even got married. They of course have empathy for each other, and they love each other. and it just really makes you think, okay, so then like the Voight conf and the line to draw as to like what is a human is completely arbitrary, and it's completely false. It's very subversive that way, going back to the empathy, because I mean clearly these beings can feel empathy. Yeah, they just don't feel empathy towards a fake pet. They just don't feel empathy towards, you know, people that are trying to kill them, but to their own kind, to the people that they love. And I will call replicants a form of person, right? They exhibit such love, and so they are more human than human, I guess you could say. And that's a line from Ridley Scott's original Blade Runner, as well. That's the slogan of the corporation that makes them. So it's really subversive. It really, really makes you think. And again, Deckard goes through this philosophical and physical journey as well. I mean, he almost dies a couple of times. He ends up on the slopes of this California mountain trying to have this empathic, trying to engage with Mercer, to engage this empathic part of himself, which, you know, it remains to be seen if it was successful or not. And I just think it is a really, really solidly written book. It doesn't top Ubik, in my opinion, but Ubik is more of your standard like run and gun thriller that is cerebral as well. This is as cerebral, if not more, just because of whereas Ubik questions you know, the state between life and death, this questions what it means to be a human. And if we can use empathy to draw the line as to human and inhuman. And that's why I think that this book cannot be skipped out on. Give it a read. It reads really easily. It's classic Philip K. Dick. He does get pedantic with details, but I mean, in 230 pages, to have such a philosophical novel, you know, where, you know, there's stuff for the science fiction people, there's stuff for the thriller people, there's even some romance in there. This book should be read by people of any sort of literary preference. I think that it's fantastic, and I would highly recommend it. Do not skip out on it. So if you've read it, or even if you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. If you've seen the movies but you've not read the book, pick it up, give it a read, and let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching.